Hey everybody, you can't see me yet because I am getting stuff uploaded to all the different websites, but I am live. I'm just trying to get everything ready here. Alright, so today we're going to quickly go over, starting a little bit early, I know. That's just because I know that it takes a little bit of time to get everything set up until I can master this whole live streaming thing. I apologize for this. Okay, so pull this up here. Alright. Stop. Let's see here. Just gonna copy and paste some stuff. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully good. It is a Monday. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's Mondays, I hate Mondays. I don't hate Mondays. I look at Mondays as like the start of a new week, a new chance to fix, or to basically start fresh. And oops, sorry about that. Forgot about my mic. Gotta get this snowball up here. I look at Mondays as not being a bad day, but actually kind of a good day, really. I mean, it's the start of a brand new week. Everything that happened last week, that was last week. And now you have a chance to start nice and fresh and take advantage of a fresh start. So I really recommend that you, going forward, is maybe rethink how you view Mondays. Instead of looking at it as a bad, crappy day, start looking at it as actually an opportunity to start the fresh, a new week fresh. All the mistakes that you might have made before, that was then. This is a chance now to be better than what you were last week. So look at Monday as a gift as opposed to, oh, it sucks, it's Monday, it's the start of the work week. Well, that start of the work week also means that that's the start of another week where you are pulling in a paycheck, and more opportunities in life pop up. So take advantage of it. Don't look at it in a negative light. Look at it in a positive light. All right. So real quick, I'm not going to be spending too much time on these eliminators because I might eliminate them from my army. After the 30-day challenge. They're just in there because I needed filler for the 30-day challenge. So right now, looking at them, these are what I call tier 1. And that's very loosely saying, for me, tabletop quality. Well, no, tabletop ready. I've got 3 colors here. It's really 4 colors in my view. Some people don't like the colored primer as they don't count as a color, but in reality it is. So these guys have their base gray on their armor and their cloak. I went ahead and hit their purity seal with the red, the scope with red. That was actually burnt red from Monument Hobbies, Abaddon black from Citadel, and Lead Belcher from Citadel on the model. So right there, that really 5, maybe 6 minutes to paint 3 guys base colors, 3 color minimum. Now for me, I won't participate in an event if it's if my stuff is not like tier 3, my view of what tier 3 is, which is multiple colors, layering, highlights, shading, all the little bells and whistles that really make a model pop. And I realize a lot of people are at work today. This is just a continuation of my working on or doing these episodes on Monday, because I want to get as many episodes in as possible. As it's right now, this 30-day challenge is over next Tuesday, the 30th. I am on track, especially since I'm not going to do a whole lot extra to these eliminators, because I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them. I am actually on track to being done in the next few days, actually. After these 6 eliminators, I've got 6 suppressors, which they take about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours to do. And then a librarian, 2 librarians, and a lieutenant I've got to do. Those 3 characters models will be on Wednesday at 8 o'clock. So as I continue on this process, I already got a whole bunch of these guys done. I'm just going to get these guys to the next stage. And then Thursday or Friday, between Thursday and Sunday, I will be finishing up all their bases and backpacks, and then it'll be done. I'll show it off on Monday or maybe Tuesday. I'll put it up on the Facebook page. When I start doing the live stream, or not live streaming, but essentially, I don't want to say exclusively on Twitch next month, because it'll be going to YouTube and Twitch, but I'll be watching and monitoring and responding on Twitch instead of YouTube, just because of it's a better platform, plus for this type of streaming and stuff, and better to start receiving support, donations, all that sort of stuff, so I can actually go out and start showing you guys, interact with you guys and go, okay, what painting technique do you guys want to see? Or live stream, like a 24-hour live stream. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I can actually do with that and have proper equipment. Even though I'm a member of FNP, I can't always be using their equipment in my studio, or their studio, or the studio, sorry. And if I'm traveling, I want to be able to have equipment with me. And I like to be able to do shows for you guys on a regular basis, maybe not even attached to FNP, but sponsored by them. Kind of like building my own brand. That, of course, FNP is going to benefit from, because I'll always have their logo on there. It'll just be, like John's Miniature Corner or some silly name, or I don't know. I'm ranting right now a little bit, or rambling on. So what I'm doing real quick here is I'm just finishing up these last 2. Well, actually, I got 3 eliminators I got to finish up. One had fallen on the floor, popped off its base. Part of the model broke, so I need to go back on and fix him up. But since these guys are just getting the bare minimum treatment, since they are probably not going to make it to my army after this 30-day challenge, I'm not too broken up over not being able to include them. Something else I have to do is I missed a spot on their shoulder pad. I forgot to, do all their the yellow trim. And the yellow that I'm using, it's golden brown. I know I said yellow, but it's almost yellow. As you can see, it's almost a yellow-like color. The desert brown from Monument Hobbies right now is probably that next to their titanium white is probably my favorite color that they make. If you guys have had problem with white paints, I'm gonna tell you right now, especially if you like Vallejo or Army Painter or Citadel, and you always have problems with whites, just go ahead and, even if it's just one bottle, order the Monument Hobby bold titanium white. It's probably I have to say, probably the best white I have ever encountered Not because, oh, it's definitely a white paint, because everybody's got some white paint. It's just how that paint goes on the model and how it comes out. Its dry time is not, especially if it's sitting out on a pallet, is not like, say, what did I just do with all that? Not like a lot of other paints, where a lot of other paint companies where the white dries up incredibly and infuriatingly quick. I don't know what they do, but if Citadel or Games Workshop, Vallejo or whatever ever figure out how to do it, it could be the doom for, not the doom, but it would not be good for Monument Hobbies, because whatever they did with the white, Jen, Jason, you guys keep it a secret. Keep it a state secret, because that white is, there's nothing else out there like it. Hands down, the absolute best white. All right, so I just put down a little bit more golden brown on the model. Since I've got some excess, while those dry, I'm just gonna, I don't want to pull those up. I'm gonna come back to the librarian I started working on the other day, and we're gonna go ahead and just clean up his shoulder pad a little bit here. I just want an extra layer, because I got the paint a little too thin yesterday, so it just kind of ran, and which is stupid of me, because I really don't need to thin these down. It's such a habit to do it that I just did it on instinct. You can run this without thinning it. Your choice, though. I would stick to whatever best practices you use. All right, let me just get a little bit more yellow here. And this yellow is going to get a shade and some highlights later on next month when I do the beautification series. You will see me cleaning that yellow up and making it look more like a dyed yellow, or a dyed leather, dyed yellow, or in this case golden brown. And kind of like if you go to a country western bar, maybe you go to country western bars and you've seen people wear, the bright colored, like, I don't know, red or blue leather boots or belt buckle or belts or whatever. Maybe those leather jackets with the tassels. I forget what those are called, but you've seen those dyed leather, the jackets and clothing articles and everything. That's basically what I'm going to do with this, and it's tying in the red scorpions. And I've said many times on all the other episodes, the shoulder pads always have the yellow trim. There's usually a chest piece in here that actually I can show you right here. You can see a little bit chest piece right in there. All right, that is that's usually the same yellow color that's on the shoulder pads, and that's it. The rest of the model is gray. The interior of the shoulder pad is black, and then the red scorpion symbol, it's red, surrounded with a white background. And I've already showed some of the pictures on the FMP Facebook page, so if you want to check that out, or probably Wednesday when I do the next episode, I'll show off these guys. Now you'll see that all the guys I'm working on today, all they have is this regular shoulder pad, and that's standard. That comes in the set. It's already pre-assembled. You don't have to do, or not pre-assembled, but it's already molded onto there. So what I'm having to do with these suppressors, since they have full shoulder pads on both sides, I'm having to clip off this left shoulder pad, because that is generally where the Space Marine chapters, or the Adeptus Astartes chapters, they'll whatever their chapter is, so like Red Scorpions or Ultramarines or Space Wolves, whatever, their left shoulder pad will always have their symbol on there, their chapter symbol, or like our modern military, maybe the United States Marine Corps or U.S. Army symbol would be on that side, and then squad markings would either be on the right side or on their knees. So what I'm going to have to do, I think, I kind of did a test run with all the infiltrators and the lieutenant or the captain. Is I think what I'm going to be doing is these mini shoulder pads that they have on the left side. I slipped a regular shoulder pad over a Red Scorpion one, and it fits perfectly. So what I think I'm going to do, just to save myself some time, is next month I'm just going to paint those all up and slap them on the right shoulder pad. It's not standard, and it kind of goes against what their chapter does. But since this is a whole new era in the storyline, things change. So real quick here, let me come back to these guys. So that golden yellow is done. I wish I wouldn't use so much because I really need to use it on the all these suppressors I'm going to be doing here in a minute, but I screwed up. So I'm going to go in real quick, and I'm just going to put some black in the shoulder pad, sticking to the normal theme that everybody else has. So it's black. I'll have to clean up that yellow. That's, once again, if I'm going to continue using these guys in the future. Right now, these 9 eliminators that I'm using are, after this challenge, they're just going to sit on the shelf until I figure out what I want to do with them. I mean, I might end up leaving them in there. I just don't. There's a couple other options for play that I saw. So I'm contemplating still using them, but I got some other options to use with this army that I think will help give it an edge. This army already has a bit of an edge over other armies, especially the rise of the Gene Stealer cults, but it's still lacking a couple elements that will help it survive against the Gene Stealer cults when since they have got so many models. They're so powerful. We saw this, I think this last weekend at at a GT. I'm not sure where, or it might have been Dallas GT. I think it was. We saw a Brood Lord, which is like a headquarters model or character model. He used Mental Onslaught, which is a psychic power that they have, to destroy a Castellan Knight, and it was pretty ballsy, first off, but such a devastating thing that you got to see firsthand how destructive and how powerful the Gene Stealer cults are in that one example. And of course, there are people like, oh, that's too broken, they need to nerf it. I don't know if they need to. I think it's something that gives them an edge, just like other armies have stuff that gives them an edge. I don't know yet. I haven't been on the receiving end, so I haven't had a chance to complain or freak out or cry about it or anything, so who knows. So I don't know. So all I'm doing is, even though I probably won't be using these guys in the future, or at least the near future, I'm going to go ahead and still get them to a decent standard. These guys are going to still need a lot of work. I don't know what I'm doing with these cloaks yet. So I'm still waiting for that black to dry, because I'm going to go back in and fix up these shoulder pads. But in the meantime, what I can do is these last two guys. You know what? Let's go in and fix up these shoulder pads real quick. While they're all drying there. Just if I got a little bit of black, or maybe I missed a spot. Still a little too much there. That's all right. So today is just kind of a walkthrough video. I'm not doing anything too terribly new or impressive. I'm just kind of cleaning up the work I've already been doing. I'm nearing the end of this 30-day challenge, and I'm going to be successful. Because I am, after these eliminators today, the last 6 suppressors will be done tomorrow, and then Wednesday's show will be me doing the characters, and I might have to finish up the characters on Sunday's show. I might actually concentrate on, like this Wednesday, specifically just doing the librarians, and then show you guys how I do the bases and the lieutenant on Sunday, so you guys can get like the most out of the shows. And then Monday will be the last of the 30-day challenge videos. So that would be, today's 7, then it'll be 8, 9, that'll be episode 10. Yeah, episode 10. And on that day, I'll actually have the entire army in here in the studio, the FMP studio, and I'll show it off so you guys can see what I've done in less than, it'll actually be 28 days that I'll have this army done. And it'll be 65 models, fully built, painted, and based. And then next month, like I said a little bit ago, or every episode, next month will be my beautification series, where I will go in and start cleaning up, not just cleaning up the models, but check time real quick because I've got to clock into work. Not only clean up the models, but go in and I did a lot of cheats and cutting corners to do this 30-day thing, and it's going to be going back in and fixing those cheats. So one of the biggest cheats that you guys will see again today, and you've seen probably every day, is me dry brushing. Dry brushing is really one of the best techniques if you don't care about an appearance award. Other people will edge highlight instead of that, or they will wet blend or glaze. Lots of different techniques to really make that model stand out. Dry brushing is like the easiest way, but it's also kind of a sloppy way especially if you're going for best appearance. So I'm gonna have that extra challenge next month, and actually probably be 2 months worth of challenges to go in and clean that up. Because I'm not sure how I'm gonna tackle that cleanup. But in the meantime, until I figure that out, I'll be cleaning up like the shoulder pads, the skin, any of the metallics, any of the lenses, like on the scopes of all the guys. All those little things will be getting cleaned up very, very quickly. Gotta have my morning monster. No, they're not a sponsor. I talk about FNP or Monument Hobbies a lot. I was going to say they're not a sponsor, but they actually are a sponsor for us. If you're going to Warzone Houston and you're just tuning in, maybe you didn't watch yesterday's episode, they are sending out a very generous prize support for our event. They are sending out 2 complete paint sets of theirs. That's 29 paints and 3 empty dropper bottles that have their very awesome glass beads that are in it, that are actual paint agitators that you put inside the pot. Like, I'll clip off a piece of plastic sprue and put it inside the Citadel pot so it acts as an agitator. But they already put them in there, and it's really good product. Sorry, Games Workshop, you guys do put out some fantastic stuff, but all these other companies that are doing it with the dropper bottles, man, I understand you guys have had to do a lot to do these new bottles and everything, but please, if it's a pride thing, you don't want to follow the crowd or give in, just give up. You'll sell a lot more paints if you guys would put them in dropper bottles. It's just a suggestion, not a demand. People are still going to buy your paints. Excuse me. But it would go a long way to showing not only that you support the community, but also that you listen to their actual really good ideas. And if, Games Workshop, you guys are a model company first, a hobby company. And this is one of those hobby things that you really should be supporting, because it is a good thing for the hobby. It's a good thing for painters, those dropper bottles. If you guys are tuning in right now, I'm going over to the suppressors real quick. All I'm doing is putting a little bit of black in all these little flex points. And I'll clean up, like I said, later in my other series. Anyways, going back to the pots paint, the dropper bottles are just a good choice. They're really utilitarian. They really help out the whole painting process, and the pots don't dry out as fast. The paints are still going to dry out, guys. So thinking that the pots are not going to dry out because they're in dropper bottles, that's wrong. They'll just dry out slower, but they still dry out. So getting a little sloppy here in my painting. getting underneath there is such a pain in the butt. Trying to just get all the little flex points on these models. Got 6 of them to do, but thankfully there's not a lot of these flex points here, like as there was on the infiltrators. I was having to get a lot of spots on them, but this is still time consuming and a pain in the butt. And I've already, maybe because I have too much caffeine in my system, which is very likely. I figure I'd learn a lesson by now. But I'm also getting a lot of paint splash over the model where I don't want the paint. That means I'm going to have to go back in with some gray and clean that up. And actually I'll have to do that before I go to the dry brushing stage. But I gotta let the paint settle or dry. So when I do that, I'll jump back over to the Eliminators real quick. I appreciate you guys jumping on. I know you guys are busy lives. Even watching the videos later, I get it. 10:30 is a little too early for some people. Maybe you're just getting up from your night job. You're on some, I don't know, African continent. We do actually have somebody that watches the show from Africa. So you guys, or South Africa. I think it's South Africa. I could be wrong. And I'm hoping that gentleman is still coming to town to visit, because I think he has family or something. I'm really hoping that he will visit. And if he does, man, we are going to have, I think probably a special event here or something for him. You know, even if he's only here for a day, get him in here. We'll have some games, give him some swag, maybe. I don't know. I've talked to the rest of the guys. It's kind of a cool thing, especially this guy Leon has probably one of the largest salamander armies ever. I'm not sure if it's for the Horus Heresy or if it's just in general, or maybe it's a little bit of both. I think that's what's good about the Horus Heresy armies, that you can, as long as you're using the right armor, you can still make, you can cross over those miniatures into the 40K universe. A lot of those models, not every single one, not every unit, but a lot of them will cross over. All right, so I need to fix this gray real quick because I got a little too much paint over everything. And right now, because I'm not sure exactly what the mixture is, this uniform gray, it's a little lighter than what I had been using with the other models, but it's just barely noticeable, at least I think for the average person. Not that there's nothing wrong with being average or anything. But for me, I know, because I messed it up, I know that the color is off because I'm the one that chose it. It cleans up pretty nice. So some of you might be going, why in the hell are you worrying about the underneath part, the undercarriage, so to speak, of the model? Well, even though this army I'm doing really quick and almost half-assed like, I do plan on going back in and making it nice and pretty for painting competitions. And one of the things, especially me as a judge for painting contests or best appearance, whatever you guys call it, there's some things that I look for besides just cleanse. One of the biggest things for me is cleanliness. Was the model painted cleanly, or is it just kind of half-assed paint on there? The other thing I look for is, especially in the field with so many beautifully painted models, there has to be a clear winner. And you have to be careful with a painting contest, because you're going to have your friends that are involved. You know that they're good painters, but you're going to come across other people, and you've really got to be cautious with with judging a paint contest. Not because some people might think, oh, you're just choosing your friend over anybody else. Because it's very subjective. Because what's beautiful to you might not be beautiful to me. So I have to look at it from a technical standpoint, and then I always look at what I call paint porn afterwards. Does this model have a cool factor? Does that paint job just like scream superiority, or wow, I can't believe you did that with that paint or anything, or something like that. Just something that really amazes the judge. And those are minor points for me. You're only getting a couple points, but it's really set up for when there is a tie, and a tiebreaker is necessary. Because it's so subjective when it comes to paint or judging painting. So it's best to go with the technical aspect versus, oh, it's so cool, or, oh, you did a G.I. Joe themed army. That's my favorite cartoon from the 80s. Oh, it's so awesome. Totally ignoring the fact that it's not the best paint job. But, you got that emotional response, and that's something that I try to avoid because I don't want to have those memories or those things stirred. I want to be able to judge you just on the most technical part of your painting. But for the cool factor, still awards you a couple extra points, for sure. Real quick here, so while that gray and stuff is drying, I'm going to take a look at, we're ready for these last two guys. I need to clean up a couple spots here. Or not clean up, but put down a couple washes. I know it's early, guys. I really appreciate you guys watching later on. I understand that some people cannot watch right now. Totally understandable. But I'm still going to rant on. What's my time here? 10:54. All right. I had to go open the doors for work at 12, so I've got about an hour to finish up as much as I can today. And like I said earlier, when this episode started, if you were tuning in here, all I'm doing is just kind of going back over all the last bit of models and just kind of quickly adding in some washes, some detail work, just so I can have them done. These Eliminators, I'm doing some really bad painting stuff with them because I don't know if I'm going to use them after this challenge is over. I really have to do some critical thinking with them. I'm not sure if they're going to be good for what I'm going for. So here, so I can kind of help break up the colors. Something I messed up on when I did this earlier with the first three, I painted these cloaks all black. I think that was a mistake because the black really kind of washes or it all blends. And I know they're supposed to be all super sneaky because they're snipers and they don't want to give away their position. They're this side of being some sort of ninja or something. But the black, it's hard to do anything with that black now, especially if I want to do like a camo pattern. And there are some urban camo patterns I could do. I've seen, but it's still not. I shouldn't have done that. I should have done what I'm doing right here. And this is simply just going over this uniform gray from, this uniform gray from the Army Painter. That's what I use as my primer. And I'm just putting Nuln Oil over that gray. And while I'm there, I still got to put the Nuln Oil over all the metal. All right, cool. Let's see if I've got a little bit of gray left because I got a little too much paint on there. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not doing anything fancy with these guys, but you can see, let me get the Nolan oil out of the way because I have a tendency to knock that over. So here's the two models. I still have to dry brush them. I forgot to do that because I was just trying to show you guys 3 color minimum on these. But you can tell with the cloak right now, the difference from the cloaks. Get this turned over. One's darker than the other. It's got all the wash is going down into the recesses. Really kind of enhancing the overall look of the model, helping to pull out, showing off the shadows and the depth of the model, kind of helping to make it look more 3D. So I am being a little careless here because I'm just slathering this on. Like I said, I don't know if I'm going to use these guys, but it's part of the 30-day challenge to get them done. And next month, I mean, I'm still going to, like tomorrow, I'm going to go in and clean these guys up before I log or clock into work, just because I want them to, I don't want to do it just a crappy model. I still want to have some good quality going on there, just in case, especially if I decide to come back and mess with the model. I need to make sure that it's prepped for me fixing it up. So I got a little heavy there with the wash, but that's okay. Keep pulling down because I don't want it to, I'm trying to avoid it settling and pulling up in the high areas because it'll be streaky when it does that. So this is the last little bit. I'm going to go ahead and put it over the gunmetal because it helps darken that gunmetal up and make it look more natural. And let's see here. Perfect. All right, so that was real quick, down dirty, really dirty painting there. But I'm okay with that because, like I said, I don't know if I'm going to use those guys. It's still debatable if I'm going to use them. Just real quick, if you guys are on Twitch, sorry I'm not responding right now. I can only have one window open at a time just because the computer. So I've got YouTube open. In the very near future, probably next month, I should be switching over to Twitch. And I will be streaming from Twitch. And I'll be able to respond on all that and be a little bit more interactive and everything. And run some contests, all that jazz. All right. So that's me cleaning up the eliminators. We're now going to move over here to the rest of these guys. I said I was going to show you dry brushing. If you're going, like I said before, and I'll probably say in the next 3 episodes, the last 3 episodes, dry brushing is an awesome technique. Once you get your base coat on your model, and even Games Workshop teaches this for beginners or people that just don't have a lot of time or dedication to paint. This is a great way to start. And then you can graduate from base coating and dry brushing to like wet blending or just line highlighting, this next easiest step in painting. But it's something to be aiming for. You should always try to improve your painting because you're going to be a great gamer. So when you get to a point where, man, you're winning tournaments and you're really good against people in your local area, now it's time to take it up a notch. Be a well-rounded player by being good at painting. Okay, so all we're going to do is dry brushing. Make sure I don't have it too much on. I'm just going to very lightly over all the, very lightly over all the gray areas, just kind of very gently hit the raised edges. And it's kind of hard to see, but there's a difference between, you'll see it whenever you do it. There's a clear difference when you get that lighter color, which is what I'm doing. I'm adding that lighter color of gray. In this case, I'm using Citadel's Administratum Gray over this Uniform Gray or the Standard Mechanicum Gray from Citadel. And it just catches the edges, mainly the edges, and it helps that model stand out. It really shows off the definition, and it also will help you whenever you go back in and do your cleanup painting, or maybe you want, like I'm going to be doing, or maybe you want to enhance it later. It's a good way to see where all the nooks and crannies are, where all the little areas that you're going to have to paint later, just to make that model look good. It will help, it'll help highlight it. You'll be able to see it better. And you'll know that you're going to go in and mess with that area later. One thing to be cautious of is don't get in there and grind with the brush. You are just trying to be light and gentle, because you just want to just get enough paint on your model. Now, you regular expert painters, you might be scoffing at the dry brushing. Is that, oh, it's such a, whatever technique, such a childish or whatever technique you want to. I'm trying to think of what some art critic would be like. Oh, I wouldn't do that. That's so last year. But you know what? Screw you. No, I'm just kidding. This is a good technique for beginners and even experienced people. It really, like me, I'd say I'm an experienced player, or a painter. Not because, I've been doing this for a long time, 89. And I've gotten better and better over the years once I got past some certain hang-ups. And even now, looking at this model, it's kind of hard to see because of the light and everything. But these raised edges that the administrative gray is catching, I can go back in afterwards. And I think this is a good test of your prowess as a painter. If you can go back in and fix something that was all super messed up. And in this case, I'm going to be showing that off next month, hopefully. I'm getting very close to Warzone Houston. Is the convention that Alan and myself run. This year we're going to have around 200 players. So we're super excited about that. Every year we've been adding on about 50 to 60 people. Last year was about 110. About 110. The year before I believe we were at 55, I think. And that doesn't include people that drop day one. Some people drop out of the tournament day one, just because, I've already lost. There's no point in me staying and playing. It's not single elimination or anything, but they're out of the running. So it's like, why go ahead and give up my days off, I guess? Forget the fact that I just paid like $60 to go to a 2-day event. But you know what? That's you. If that's all right with you, cool. I get it to an extent. Sorry, still just dry brushing here. I see people logging in and logging out. I'm not sure. I appreciate you guys just taking a peek. Like I said, all I'm doing today is just finishing up some of the last bit of models. I'm going to wait for my Wednesday show to show off me doing the characters and and those will be the librarians. The last character, the lieutenant, and I'll show off also the captain, which I've already done just by total accident, by the way. I was not meaning to do it. It just happened. So I'll show off those characters on Wednesday and Sunday. And Sunday I'll be finishing up the bases. And then come Monday's episode, it should finish up any last minute basing or backpacks. Because you'll notice a lot of these guys don't have backpacks yet. I like to paint my models without the backpacks on, because that gives me a chance to get behind there and get those areas that normally you would ignore, but a judge wouldn't. So I'd like to go in there and just double, triple check that. By having that area wide open. Is it necessary? No. There's some really talented people out there, like TJ, also on the show. He totally builds models top to bottom and paints with them fully assembled. I don't do that, and there's nothing wrong with either technique. That's the way he paints. This is the way I paint. You really need to come up with your own techniques, or not techniques, but your own flow to painting, your own routines that help you paint. Don't try to do other people's. Really, just do your own, man. That's You're gonna get in your own comfortable groove, and you know what works best for you. And so, like, that works well with TJ. It doesn't work well with me. So I won't be doing it. Maybe in the future. I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a try. It'd be a nice test of my abilities. Okay, so dry brushing's done. This brush has just about had it. I still got 3 more models I'll have to dry brush, but this sucker is almost beyond recovery. We'll see. I might be able to get maybe a couple dozen more models out of it. I'm not sure. All right, check chat real quick. All right, no chat. I'm down to less than an hour to get more of these done. And I'm doing 6 guys right now, but the process has gotten faster for me. So I think the next step, the next step, we're going to go ahead and since I still got some of that yellow or the desert brown. Oh, man, that's been about 20 minutes of it just sitting there, and I still have a healthy bit of the golden brown. That is amazing. That's another good example of Monument Hobbies paints. Now, they don't pay us to anything. We're just to talk about their product. I'm not getting any royalties, or I'm not like a paid actor or anything, which would be really cool. Jen and Jason, you guys do look to having something like that, let me know. I'm totally down. I think I've got a good presence about me. That I would love to do something like that. But I just love these paints because they are so good. We got them actually before. Oh, crap. I did not want to mess with that shoulder pad, because that shoulder pad is going to get clipped off and replaced with a Red Scorpion shoulder pad. I don't know why nobody in chat did not jump on there and say, hey, John, what are you doing? You're not supposed to be painting that. Could be because nobody's currently on chat, because y'all are at your day jobs. And this is kind of a nice thing that I had this type of day job, and I'm very fortunate that the folks at Atomic Hobby Shop are employing me right now to be able to, because I can do stuff like this in the studio for FNP and for you guys. So what I'm doing right now is just getting the base coat of the desert brown on there. Okay, I'm doing it also I'm still not used to working with these cameras, even after 10 episodes, but I'm trying to get better at, I've got a little paint reticle right here to try to keep the model in that reticle for you guys, so you can see what I'm doing. And right now I'm just going to continue on painting the pouches and shoulder pads and the chest symbols all with this yellow. That helps unify the model, since I've had these models are not your standard looking Marines. Well, these guys are. These suppressors, they are not wearing the Phobos armor, so they don't have these guys have full shoulder pads and everything. But since I'm doing everybody else with these yellow pouches and everything, and holsters and stuff for their pistols, I'm just going to stick with the theme, so it's all nice and tied in. And that's something I could bring up while there is just enough in there for one model. I might be able to do 2. Let's see real quick. Let me I got just enough. I can get this last chest symbol. Just a little bit of yellow over there, and this strap right there, so that's good. It all works out. I don't know what I was saying. Oh well. Let's find something else to talk about. All right, since I'm down to an hour and I don't have a life lesson to pass on today, I'm going to think about that. 'Cause I actually had a couple people message me and privately, which is totally fine, by the way. And say thanks for talking about integrity or LGBT stuff, whatnot, and everything. And I was like, okay, well, just as long as you guys realize I am not a psychologist, even though I might have a degree in psychology, I can only give out some of my advice, but I'm not telling you to do it. It's not a professional advice. It's just, I'm just making suggestions to enhance your lives. So if I ever say anything and you decide to go try to live your life like, oh, well, John said this, so I'm going to live my life like this, and it does not work out well, just remember I am not a psychologist or psychiatrist, a therapist, or anything like that. I'm just a guy that's got years of experience in screwing up that is trying to pass on a little bit of knowledge so you don't screw up like I did. Since I don't have any kids, it's kind of a thing I don't mind passing on because y'all are important to me. This community is important to me. This gaming community is important to me because it's been a part of my life for, well, since 89. Yeah, 1989, when my friend Jay Reese in Independence, Missouri, him and his dad showed me how to play this game, and I was hooked. Wasted, I think at some point, way too much money when I was a kid on it. But if it wasn't for them walking me through this, I don't know if I would have ever encountered this. And I was very thankful that they did. I was very thankful that, like, my mom raised me on sci-fi. Thanks, Mom. And my dad took me to see sci-fi movies. Really helped get me into the genre, and I appreciate them and everybody that's actually supported me over the years with this stuff, because I'd say it's helped shape my life, because I've learned to be a pretty decent painter, pretty good person, because I look at things a little different now, and I treat people a little different now after I see, as you encounter people at these events and everything, you really see how just a simple word can really make somebody feel really, really good and amazing. A simple compliment, like, hey, I really like what you did there. And then they like, I've had this happen many times, and maybe you have too, where people are like, oh, thanks. I've been trying to do this. And then I'll be like, oh, I encountered that too. Can I make a suggestion? And if they say yeah, then give them the suggestion. Don't just give it to them to say, hey, do you mind if I give you a suggestion? I encountered this too, and I did this, and this to get to succeed at what you were trying to do. And man, people get really excited when you are able to basically talk shop with them. Especially if you're nice and kind to them, you can really change a person's life by being a nice person. And just being, you don't have to be a jerk about anything. You can be nice. Even if you don't like that guy's paint job, you'd say, oh, I like what you did there. Or something similar that's like, oh, I really think that is you don't have to say, oh, that is the best thing I've ever seen painted. And just say, I like what you're going with there. Because it doesn't hurt you to just be a decent human being. And you can really change a person's outlook and become a better person, a better painter. Yes, I'm rambling a little bit, but you can, through this hobby, treat people better, learn to treat people better, and end up being a better person in your life because you're just being nice, being a decent human being. Same thing with, politics. Just because, and there's a couple guys that watch the show, that we butt heads against on politics and religion, but we're still cool with each other. We still treat each other with respect, well, somewhat respect, dignity, and everything, because we understand that we have different views that we're very strongly opposed to or supportive. But at the end of the day, we're just good friends. So there's no point in us yelling and being mean and being a dick to each other. And I think a lot of that is because we all share this common bond with this hobby. And we kind of all learn just to not be a jerk. Now, do you need this hobby to not be a jerk? Nope, not at all. Just like you don't need religion to understand morality or go to a law class to understand ethics or anything like that. You can learn that without all that. Is it helpful? Yeah. But those things are not necessary to be a good, decent person. Just don't treat people like jerks. So basically what I'm getting at is that this hobby is a wonderful thing that's really helped me grow as an individual, got me better at painting, reading, and a lot more attention to detail in my life, just because I would get all these extra little bits on here. And I caught myself the other day while I was painting, or not painting, but I was doing something, and I was like, oh crap, I forgot totally to do this. I need to go ahead and do it. It was an attention to detail thing. It's like, I might as well go ahead and do it. Even though it was in my own home, and the only person that was ever going to know whether I did or did not do it was me. Just me. Nobody else. Nobody else was going to be affected by it, as far as I know. But the fact that I knew that it needed to be done, I just did it. It comes down to like integrity, doing the right thing all the time, even when nobody's watching. And I picked up on that, and I was like, man, I do this in my painting. I might as well go ahead and do this now. So I do it there. I should do it here. And it irked me because I was having to pay attention to detail. It was kind of a pain in the ass, but the fact that both attitudes translated from real world to my day-to-day life to painting, and vice versa. I mean, it's kind of annoying, but it was also cool because just seeing how the two different worlds collide. So just getting up some painting here, just trying to get, I've been doing now after like nearly 50, 60 models, I've gotten to the point where I've gotten a little sloppy with this base coating. And it's just because I know I'm going to go in later and do a cleanup phase. Because I'm just trying to get these guys done. They're really about a tier 2 or they're definitely tier 2 by the time I'm done with them. Some will be a little bit higher, some might be a little lower. And some of you will be saying, well, you're painting over the lines there, John. And in this case, I don't mind, because this right here, this area, is going to be painted black. So I don't care that I got a little bit of yellow over it. That's why I'm doing that now, because when I go back in, it'll be easier to paint the black in. And I'm not doing these shoulder pads because I forgot I have to cut these off to where it's just what's left of the shoulder there. So I have red scorpion shoulder pads that came in that I need to replace these with. So at some point in the very near future, probably tomorrow or tonight, actually, when I get home, I'll probably clip all these shoulder pads off and then prime the red scorpion ones, slap them on. I'll finish these guys up tomorrow. And then the only thing I'll have left of my 65 models will be 2 librarians and a lieutenant. And then, of course, about, minus 10, so 55 bases. But what I'm using for my bases is the Necromunda bases, the 32 millimeter and the 40 millimeter for this army. Because I decided I want them to kind of be in an urban or inside of like a spaceship or a refinery or something. That's where they're infiltrating, because this is an infiltrating army, and that's where they're going to be doing all their fighting. So, sorry I started rambling and trailing off there about some philosophical stuff, but I just want people to be cool with each other, especially when you're going and playing these games. A lot of that translates over into real world, or outside, not real world. You know what I mean by real world. Don't be a jerk when you're playing the game, or in game if you're doing video games. Don't be a jerk there, because you're probably going to carry that over, that attitude over time will come out in your day-to-day life. Me, I'm a jerk 24/7. That's kind of like my friend Kevin and Clint will say, I'm just an ass. But that's okay. They expect it out of me. But I try to treat everybody else with a lot more less dickery. Not sure if that is a word. Well, hashtag that, hashtag dickery. And I should really, I've been trying to do that also with my friends, like stop being grumpy pants. That is my team, it's my call sign or my team name or whatever for F&P Pros, Grumpy John, because I am grumpy a lot. Once again, I just rambled there. Stop being jerks to each other when you go to play games. You don't have to talk bad about people. You don't have to mistreat them while you're playing. You don't have to be arrogant and snobby. Afterwards, man, when you're not around those people, you want to be like, oh man, I kicked that guy's butt. He was such a noob, totally OP'd him. You want to be like that? Cool. Your friends are probably going to look at you like, yeah, good job, dick. But you don't have to treat people poorly at these events. Any events, even going up in gaming, don't treat people poorly. Stop being a dick. Checking chat real quick. Good. I am down to about 32 minutes, about 32 minutes before I've got to stop. I tell you, if it wasn't for these monster sunrises, I don't know what I would be doing with my life. Drinking coffee, but these are amazing. Okay, so get you guys all caught up. What I'm doing is I am painting the base coat of all the miniatures. So that way I can go in and apply all the washes later and let the models sit and settle while I'm going back to work and everything. And really I find doing the base coating to be, before I do any highlights or anything, totally get the model 100% base coated, makes your job a lot easier, because whenever you're done base coating, you can go in, and if you get some overspill like that, you can easily get that cleaned up before you start your the enhancement phase, I guess, of painting. So that's doing your techniques like wet blending or highlighting, edge highlighting, whatever it is that you're doing. So I think base coating is like pretty much a standard thing that needs to be done first, because then I can go back in and clean all this up if I wanted to. But I'm going to hold off on cleaning up because I'm running out of time, and I want to make sure that I have... screw it. We're going to go ahead and do a little cleanup here. I see too many little mess ups. Like here, got a little too much yellow there. Get him out of the way. Next guy, a little bit too much on the collar there. Still don't care about that. Got a little bit of paint. Hopefully it's not too wet. Yeah. Do I need to do all this cleanup now? No, but it's a good idea. That way I don't have to worry about it later. So we're just quickly going in. And when your guys are going in and painting, just be quick and sure with those brush strokes, man. Just go in there. I've said it so many times, don't sit there and get all bunched up and your brush starts shaking and stuff and you get all cramped up and tense and everything. And that's where you'll be messing up. Just be loose, be relaxed, go in, hit that area, get a couple brush strokes in, and then pull out. If you really just go in quickly, dab some paint, then you can come back out with your brush. And if you didn't get all the areas, you can just go back in, do another brush stroke, rinse and repeat until you get the entire process done. You don't have to concentrate on that one area until it's all completely done. Just go in, zip in, like these little spots right here. Just zip in, give it a quick brush stroke, and then done. Move on. Or come back to it, I should say. And that's what I'm doing. I just went in. It took like a few seconds to clean up. A couple of spots I had to do that, dive back in to paint, but that was it. Just making sure these shoulder pads are good. All right, so the next part I'm going to do, it's time for some metallics. Actually, this metallics is going to take the most time. What I'm not going to mess with are their high heels, or, well, I'm calling them their high heels. I'm not going to put too much emphasis on these things. They're Space Marine high heels. They're little shock pads whenever they land, because these guys fall from low orbit. Mainly because, actually, I might actually. I don't have these guys on their bases because they're going to be kind of floating in the air. I'm using some plastic rods and stuff to help them float in the air. So I've got to be careful on exactly how I paint that, because I'm going to be doing stuff like this, grabbing it and messing it up. So, but these little straps on it, well, we're going to, straps, I'm thinking like high heels or wedges. I'm going to just go ahead and those I'll get painted up. The shock pads I will not paint up right now. I don't know if those are called shock pads, but that's what I'm calling them. That's what they look like, and especially if you're being dropped from orbit. And even with your little grav chutes, when you are a 1,000-pound or 1,000+ pound person, that's what these guys are, fully armored up. Especially these guys are falling from orbit. Landing, I don't care how advanced your anti-gravity chutes are or whatever, it's going to hurt. So these kind of like help reduce the shock. So, all right, so the little booties are done, or the straps for the heels are done. So we're going to go in quickly, just move around this paint. We're going to get this handle on this side. And we're going to keep, even though I got a little bit over on that spot, we're going to keep, try to keep most of the metal off of this black area, just because even though I'm going to be painting over it with Chaos or Abaddon Black later, I'm really just going to go in and when I go back in with Abaddon Black, if there's too much paint build up in an area, it'll actually end up looking kind of bad. So even though, yes, I will be doing a cleanup series or stage later on, I want to be a little bit cautious in how much paint I actually have to go back over and clean up. These guys are actually really good because you see me twirling. These barrels are actually really good. It'll end up wearing off some of the primer, but I'm not too worried about that. It won't be enough that it's going to cause an issue. If these were metal models, that would be an issue, just because of how the difference between the primer adhering to plastic over metal. Or metal just tends to chip. I know a lot of people are like, oh, metal miniatures were the best. Not really. Those models were a pain in the butt to work with. Yeah, I like the weight of them, but they really weren't the best. At the time, absolutely. And from a nostalgic point of view, yeah, I definitely liked them. But as a quality, they were not superior quality. So since I'm going to be twirling these around, I am not going to be messing with this barrel. Just because I don't want to mess it up. So he's got these little parts of his helmet. Normally these guys wear helmets. They've got all these little things that are underneath there that help sync up to the armor and to the helmet. These little attachments to the back of their head. Getting those with metal. There's these grenade pins. Oops, got a little bit over there. There we go. Getting those grenade pins done. All right, that is it for that guy. So you saw that was really quick. I don't have to spend a lot of time with concentrating on those brush strokes. Like I said before, because I'm mainly just going to go in and do not cleanup, but paint over any mistakes that I have whenever I apply the Abaddon black. But people are like, how are you not hitting the rest of the model? And it's a lot of practice, really. It's actually sitting down and painting the gosh darn models that you learn to get that brush control. You can go in there and it becomes muscle memory or almost instinctual. I might not be able to snipe somebody in Battlefield 4 or anything from across the map, but I am good getting the brush strokes in here. I am fairly precise with it. I've been practicing on doing eyes, which are the bane of most people's existence. Lenses on a helmet is easy, but doing eyeballs is a pain in the butt. And that requires a lot of technique and careful planning ahead of time and some mess ups. And even then, even though I think I've got it down pat, I still mess up and I still have to go back over and fix it up from time to time. But compared to a year ago, hell, even 6 months ago, I've gotten a lot better, like light years better. So, still sticking to this model. Thanks, guys, for watching. I really appreciate you all watching, listening in the background. Maybe you're painting or something. I really appreciate it. I hope that the sound is good. You don't have to reply. Maybe just shoot me a message later saying, hey, your sound was all jacked up. Or there's something wrong with the video. I don't know. Maybe you're at work and you're not supposed to be watching videos, but you're doing it on a down low. Got your headphones in or something. I don't know. Maybe you're driving and you can't respond. That's okay. I'm just very thankful that people are watching. Make sure that you like and subscribe, please. This is part 7 of my series of me painting 65 models in 30 days. Let's see, check out my time here. I got about 20-ish minutes left. So I want to talk about design philosophy. I'm not even sure that's the right terminology, but and there's probably a better terminology. Just at the time, I was trying to think of the best term, and before the show started, and that's just what I settled with. I will probably have to rethink that terminology going forward. This is a little bit of a life lesson, but it also helps. Is really more geared towards the hobby. So when you are about ready to start a brand new army, there are multiple ways to come up with the idea. Maybe you want to do a tournament army. You're finally ready to jump in and have an army totally dedicated to playing tournaments. You still have your fun armies, your relaxed armies, your casual, whatever, your campaign armies. Cool. Or maybe you are wanting to do a campaign army. You're about ready to do the Escalation League that's up at Atomic Hobby Shop. Well, or this is your first time doing an army. Or maybe you're just wanting to really exercise your creative abilities. So what you need to do is, what would be fun for you to build and paint? That's what you need to think about. What is it that's going to bring enjoyment to, if you're not doing a tournament army, or even if you're doing a tournament, which one is the coolest aspect of this hobby that draws you to it? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? So if you're trying to come up with an army, think about which one is really cool to you, which one stirs some emotions, whatever, and start thinking about the theme. And I don't mean thematic. I'm sure Jimmy Johnson would strangle me if he heard me say thematic. But what is it how do you want this army to look? And I don't mean, oh, I'm just doing a tournament army, I don't care. Well, I'm talking about what color schemes you want to do, what part of the story, what fluffiness, as people like to call it, drew you to this, and which one do you like the most? Do you like the Solar Watch of the Adeptus Custodes? Do you want to paint all white, or you want to do, say, Red Scorpions or Ultramarines? And that will help you decide what you're going to do with that army. And from there, like if you're doing, let's use Ultramarines as an example, you decide you love Space Marines, you like, so that's settled you on your army. You're making just an all-around army that you can use at tournaments, casual play, campaigns, whatever. Maybe you're doing it for Escalation League. So there, you've got your basic idea. So now you need to kind of design how you want this army to look. The color scheme is always good. In the case of Ultramarines, what company do you want to do? That will help determine the color of their shoulder pad trim. And also, is it based around a particular character like Cato Sicarius, especially if you're doing the Emperor to Speech Talk Device or whatever that YouTube series is. Cool. Me, I would have done, I think it's 4th or 5th company, Uriel Ventress. I really like that character. I think that character is really one of the best well-written characters. That whole book series was really good. So I would have chose him. That's how I would have chose my Ultramarines army, is I would have centered it around him. And then I would have tried to think about what units do I like that will look really cool or that are going to be competitive, or are they going to have some synergy? That's how I'm going to basically look at how I'm going to choose which units I want to do. And I'm kind of rambling here, I realize that, but you really need to think about, do you just want to take everything that looks really cool to you? All right, cool, do that, because it's your army at the end of the day. But do you want to have some synergy? Well, start thinking about what armies have synergy with each other, or what units have synergy with each other. Does a whole bunch of scout units really have synergy with you wanting to do a full tank army, like a big armored column type thing? Does it have a synergy? Probably not, but it does have the benefit of being a low point cost for your basic troops. Now you can invest a lot more points into your tanks. Then you need to think about how you want them to look. So if you once you get past that point where you're like, okay, I know I'm doing Ultramarines, I know I'm doing the 5th Company, doing Uriel Ventress, and I've laid out the basic, I need tactical squads, maybe some scout squads, whatnot, for my army. I know I need that. Cool. And I also need X, Y, and Z to help out with the army. But you're starting off with your tactical squads. Cool. How do you want them to look? Do you just want to have them basic? Or do you want them to have extra pouches and extra war gear? Maybe like I did with the infiltrators, I put suppressors on all their weapons. Do you want the bases, instead of the guys looking really spectacular and have all this extra equipment and being different, the arms are different position, or maybe you're swapping from different kits, or maybe you're adding skulls from aliens that they've killed on their armor, whatever. Maybe it's the bases. Maybe you have this plain basic soldier, well painted and everything, but the theme of your army, or the big attraction of your army, is how you are going to do the bases. And that comes back to the beginning when you're deciding on what you want to do. Maybe you have this great idea of having an army that was battling in the corridors of a capital ship, maybe a Chaos Space Marine capital ship. And now the basis for your army is doing all of the bases that your miniatures are sitting on, even your objective markers. It's all centered around being on a Chaos warship. So you can really get really crazy with that. Maybe, as you're putting pieces of terrain on those bases, and like I'm using my those Necromunda bases for decking, just because it looks like it's a decking of a factory or a spaceship or something. I'm actually can go in there and I'm going to be putting little pieces of terrain, walls, sections, maybe computer banks from the Rogue Trader box. I'm going to be putting those in there, and I'll be having it look like they planted explosives at certain junctions. You'll see this on Sunday. And that's something that you're doing with your theme. Maybe you don't care about having this really bizarre John Blanche style army. Maybe you really just want to sell, you just want it to, the bases, the overall appearance of the army to really stand out. So cool, do that. Whatever it is that stirred that emotion, but concentrate on that one thing, and that right there kind of helps set up the design of your army. Now, if you're going to compete, you need to look at things like not just only the current meta, but you need to, especially if it's like I would say like right now we're at the end of the current meta, because we're about ready to get a big FAQ update, so things are going to change for people, I think. But if it's like right after this FAQ, it would be actually kind of a good time to explore that option of starting a brand new army, because you are going to have a big change in the meta. That's something that you need to consider if you are going to be doing a competitive army, and that could be the theme, or that's where you get your whole design philosophy from. I'm starting to ramble here as I'm checking out the time. I'm trying to speed up here. The most important thing when you are sitting down to design your army is it an army you want to play? Not just because, or you're going to have fun playing, not because, oh, this is going to be the current flavor of the month army and it's going to win lots of tournaments. Is it going to be an army that you are going to want to continuously play after you win some tournaments with it, or after the meta changes? Is it something that is good, that's going to be good for you like that? Sorry if I got a little bit off camera right there. I just realized what I was doing. I forgot about my little reticle. So just be careful when you are setting up your army. Make sure it's going to be something that you are going to have fun playing, that you intend to play a lot, because you're going to put a lot of heart and soul into building and painting an army. And if you don't enjoy the army, if it's not something that you're really going to enjoy, you're going to end up selling it like I did. Even though I really enjoyed that Custodes army, which is the reason why I'm having to paint an army now, but it still did not resonate with me. I have really not found an army that resonates with me. Space Marines, I tend to come back to more often than not, because they're easier to do for me. I know them so well, but no army's really been satisfying to me. I thoroughly enjoy building and painting Space Marines. I keep trying to come up with new themes to showcase the army, but I just have not found one that just like, oh my God, I want this for the rest of my life. I love you, whatever army you are. But you need to make sure that you want to play that army. Because if not, you're going to build it. You're going to build it, you'll be paying it, you'll put a lot of effort into it, and then you're just going to realize that you hate it, it doesn't do well, you'll find excuses for using it, or for losing. If it's not your dice, it's because, this army is trash, or your opponent's army is OP against you, or whatever. You're really hurting yourself. So make sure that you really want to play that army, that you really enjoy that army, and then go into it and push the limits of what you can do with it. Could you make it a basic Marine like this? Bam, basic guy, and leave him just like that. I'm leaving this guy just like that because I don't know if I'm going to be using them. But something I would do different, not the paint scheme, but I would have maybe a wall section right here blocking off a portion of that model. Or maybe I would have him facing forward, and I would have a wall section right here, and his sniper rifle is resting on that ledge of that little bit of a wall, and just so I can have that nice theme to it. And that's what's going to help that army stand out. What's my time? Oh, I got about 8 minutes. Okay, so real quick, I will show you guys the next step for these guys. You've already seen them before, probably about a week or so ago, and I'll show you guys the completed example on Wednesday. Yeah. So I'm going in, and I should have made this metal. The sergeants in these suppressor squads, they have grenade launchers, because they can, when they drop down, they can fire grenade. They can fire grenade launchers that will help obscure the squad as they come down. So it makes it more difficult for the opponents to see them and target them. So, but I need to paint that, getting those nooks and crannies. Anyways, as I'm painting the weapon casing like I've done on all the models, just remember that whenever you are building that army, make sure that you are going to love playing it. And there are people like my friend Clint has played orcs since orcs were bad. And he has stuck to that army because he loves that army so much. And he's got multiple armies that he could go back to, but he always plays orcs. It's because he loves that army. He doesn't care about what the meta is. He doesn't care about, oh, well, I'm chasing tournament dreams or whatever. He goes to tournaments with that army he did that for years, never doing well because orcs were just kind of not a great army at that time. They did get a nice boost recently, but he really loved that army. And that's what I'm saying, is you need to stick to those armies that you really love playing. Another example, Mike Delta on FNP Pro, the FN Pro team has been playing Ynnari since the beginning, and even after Ynnari has gotten nerf after nerf after nerf and constant abuse that people spew out towards him because of Ynnari, he has stuck with it because he really enjoys that army. So why? So don't choose an army that you are not going to enjoy playing. Choose something that's going to be fun for you to play, that you are going to have fun converting, building, painting, and that not just this one time, but you're going to continue to want to expand and grow and learn and love and play it. Because the more you love that army, the more that you play it, the better you are going to get with it. And you are going to become, your day will come also. Look at Clint. His day has come, and he went from being kind of middle of the pack in tournaments to rising up to the higher tiers of the tournament pack because he knows that army in and out, and he got the much needed fix that orcs needed for about three editions now. And that's how long he has put up with the BS. It's because he loves that army. So love your army, and you'll actually paint better, you'll play better, life will just be better in general for you just because of how you feel about that army. And that will help push you as a painter, as a builder, as a player, just simply by really wanting to play that army. And if your philosophy is, hey, I only want to play this army because it is, I love playing tournaments and I want to win, and that is the best winning tournament army, okay, cool. Then you are probably going to enjoy playing that army. You're going to love that army, not because of any emotional attachment, like I really love the theme or love the history, because you love to compete. And there's nothing wrong with that. But just make sure that you enjoy that army before you get knee deep in it. And then, like I said, expand your horizon, so to speak. Really get in there and think about what you can do different from the guy next to you. What can you do that's going to make your army better than the Yanari player to your left, or the Castellan player across the table from you, or the best orc player? What is it that's going to set your army apart? Check my time real quick. Oh, almost time. So really, that's what kind of I'm talking about with the design philosophy. Find something that you love in this hobby, whether it's Age of Sigmar, Warhammer 40,000, Batman Miniatures game, Arena Rex, Bolt Action, War Machine, Hordes, any of those games that you really enjoy playing. Magic the Gathering, that's another one, even though you're not building and painting. What is it that drew you to that game? And that's what you need to be playing. So for me, it was Space Marine. Well, it was Harlequins first. Then it was Space Marines. And Space Marines I've stuck with close to 30 years now, because I really love the Space Marines. And I've built, I think we had calculated, built, painted, and sold about about 2 chapters worth of Marines. And that's also me doing commission painting. I think it was 2.5 chapters worth of Space Marines. So it's almost 3,000 models that I've done, Space Marines that I've done over the years. And I really wish I would have taken pictures. I've actually started looking at my sell history on eBay, because I want to reach out to those people and get pictures of those armies, just so I can have a record of how many Space Marines I've actually done. But it's definitely about 2,500-ish Space Marines now, probably definitely 2,500 with these 65 guys I'm doing. The point is, find an army that you love, find a theme that you want that army to stand out from everybody else. It could be the color scheme, it could be the bases, it could be converting with different heads or different arm pieces, weapons, whatever, and make it your army. Something unique to you that you will love playing, love showing off, love talking about, love bragging about. And you will find the army that you enjoy playing, no matter how bad the rules are. You are going to enjoy showing off that army. You're going to enjoy playing that army. So make sure you do all that before you settle down to start an army. Find the best army that you are going to want to keep playing over and over again. And then from there, building the army list, the units, everything else, that's second nature, or that's a secondary objective. You don't have to worry too much about that. But how that army is going to look and how you are going to feel about that army is the most important thing before you build your army. Maybe I'll hit more on that on Wednesday, but it's the most important thing, that you need to love that army. You need to know how it's going to look before you worry about how it's going to play. If you're going to run Imperial Knights, you already know how it's going to play. Custos, you know how it's going to play. But you need, before you worry about what is the most effective, think about how it's going to look, how it's going to stir conversation, stir emotions, intimidate people, that sort of thing. And then go ahead and worry about the army list and everything, because it's all going to come together. And there actually might end up coming up with some interesting ways to do the paint, or maybe you'll find a new way to convert or do something with the bases as you're building the army list after you have your design. So get your design, everything that you want in that army, the look and appeal and everything to it, and then combine it with the army list that you're building, and you're going to end up getting it's actually going to kind of bleed over and feed into each other. You're going to get a fantastic looking army, and probably very effective. So just something to think about. Do you have to do it? No. Is it helpful? It'll be helpful. All right, so I've got to go open the door. I can already hear somebody wiggling the door handle, and I got about 5 minutes. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. It really helps me out. It helps me keep a job with F&P Wargamers. Sorry about the rambling. Actually, I'm not sorry. I'm here for an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, painting, building and painting, and it helps me get through the episode. I'll try. I was a little not so cohesive yesterday when I was chatting. I'll try to be a little bit more cohesive, or my mind in the right place on Wednesday. I'll show off the rest of the finished Inceptors or the Suppressors with their bases and fully painted. Those will be done tomorrow, and then you'll see me working on just two models on Wednesday at 8 p.m. That'll be the Librarians. Sunday will be finishing up some of the bases, or a lot of the bases, and the last character, which is Lieutenant. That'll be at 5:30 on Sunday. And then tomorrow at, I'm going to say 9:28, we will start our normal live stream broadcast. There's going to be a lot to talk about because a lot of stuff has happened in the past week. A lot of big reveals, lots of rumors that Ski and I've got, and of course some big tournaments with some pretty interesting results. So that's tomorrow at normally 9:30. And then my show's at 8 on Wednesday and 5:30 on Sunday. Next Monday will be the last show for the 30-day challenge. I'll show off the entire army so you guys can see what I've done in 30 days, all 65 models. All right, have a good night or day. Yeah, good day. I'll talk to you guys later.